One of the biggest wrestling stars in the history of the WWE's autograph, under $100. Steve Austin cards taken off, finally. And yet another Hulk Hogan card going bonkers in sales, but yet it's not what you think it might be. All of this and more in today's Wrestling Card Market Watch for March 2021. I'm Zhan, and like I said, this is the Wrestling Card Market Watch for March 2021. This is Wrestling with Cards. Love bringing these market videos to you. If you like the content I'm putting out and you want to support the show, there's several ways to do it. You can check out the Wrestling with Cards podcast on all major podcast platforms. It's basically an audio companion to these, so some of the audio may be different, some may be the same, some may be covering the same topics and just kind of maybe changing my stance on something. So you want to check that out. Make sure to subscribe and share. Speaking of podcasts, I'm also part of another podcast with Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com, and it's called Worlds Collide. Two wrestling card personalities getting together to talk about maybe sometimes agreeing, sometimes opposing viewpoints on wrestling cards. That's a lot of fun. Again, subscribe. Make sure to share those. Tag us if you want, and leave a review. You can also check me out on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show monetarily, maybe you want to get your input into how the show is produced, some of the topics, steer the content, as well as bonus content only available on Patreon. And if you want to buy me a coffee, there's links to that below as well. Again, links to everything I mentioned below in the show notes. The first card we are looking at is the 2014 Topps WWE John Cena autograph. 11 bids, $58. So with this card, we have a WWE superstar who has, what I like to call transcending into mainstream pop culture. Everybody knows John Cena. We've seen him in movies. We've seen him in commercials. He's a household name both in wrestling and also now outside of wrestling. Yet here we have his autograph, which, especially in wrestling cards, autographs seem to be sought after. We have his autograph going for $58. Okay, so I understand. Aesthetically, this card is kind of boring. It's not flashy, it's not shiny, it's just kind of boring. And sure, I understand that this is a sticker auto. Most of us all enjoy on-card autos. Let's keep talking about the negatives of this card and maybe why it sold for so cheap. It's not numbered. It's not paralleled. I can't think of any other reasons why this card would stand out. So you may be asking, why did I pick this card for this episode? This is kind of one of those gamble plays I like to talk about that have downside risk. And you may be asking, gambling, John Cena, he's a legend at this point, household name, like I said, transcending wrestling into pop culture. Not really a gamble. But as you can see, nobody was really interested in these cards. Well, I guess they were. There were 11 bids. But we saw what it ended at. On one hand, you could say that wrestling in general just doesn't get the love on cardboard form as all the other sports, so people just don't seem to care about it. You could also say that possibly people just aren't as big of a fan of some of these later generational stars as opposed to the 80s and the 90s with Rock, Austin, Hogan, Macho, etc. You could also say that this is a result of Topps overproducing things, making lackluster products, not being innovative with anything. But on the other hand, you could say this is a complete steal. This could be the opportunity that a few years down the road could really put somebody in a good financial place, whether that's for them personally or to buy even bigger PC cards. Could this card gain that exponential value in the future? I absolutely think it could. This could turn into someone's 1982 Hogan, 97 Rocky Maivia. Probably not, but hey, again, downside risk, it's possible, especially in today's market. But what if it doesn't explode? That's possible. Reason being, what if kids currently watching, or kids that did grow up watching John Cena, 20 years from now, when they have a little bit more disposable income, what if they just don't care about wrestling at that point? There are many reasons why I think this could happen. That's an actual wrestling topic that has nothing to do with wrestling cards, really. Whole nother topic for a whole nother show. But I could see that happening. But again, downside risk. $58 for a major WWE star. I think this is a steal. 1998 Panini Wrestling WCW NWO photo cards, sealed box, $250. Everybody wants sealed products nowadays, myself included. If you've watched any of my videos before, You know I love sealed product. I mean, as a matter of fact, you can see all the sealed product behind me. I don't plan on ripping any of that. It's all just fun things that I like to collect. But unlike some of the stuff behind me that was bought on retail shelves, it's actually trading cards, I have some interesting input on this box. First of all, the fact that wrestling cards, I don't know if this is with outside of the wrestling card community or just within, but they are on the rise. We're seeing all kinds of record-breaking prices. These boxes you could have bought a year ago, 6 months ago, $20-$30 shipped, and now we're talking $250. But my question with these boxes is, what exactly are people chasing in this box, in this set? What are the expectations? Let's look a little bit closer into this set. Maybe it's a straight-up sealed box collector similar to myself. You know, they just want that awesome box that's sealed and add it to their collection. And while it's sitting there, maybe they enjoy the gains that it gets in value, and then down the road, maybe they want to sell that box. That's the process I like to go with. But let's look even deeper into this set. Maybe the person here is looking to cash in on one of the first WCW NWO products produced by Panini. To my knowledge, this is one of the first products they did ever put out for WCW. Maybe they're trying to look into some of the first appearance cards or rookie cards, maybe some of the names that are featured in this set that weren't featured in the cards, in the 98 tops and the 99 tops, the embossed, or trading card games even. There's a lot of names that are in here that aren't necessarily in those cards. But the thing that gives me pause here are the actual cards themselves. The cards in this set are bigger than your standard trading cards. I think these are closer to the same size as postcards. I think they're like 4x6. And I think the photos on these cards are great. I think they're cool looking cards, but my question is, will people want these slabbed? Well, they want these oversized cards paired with their smaller cards. You know, if you're stacking slabs, you're not going to have them kind of uniformity, really. But maybe that doesn't matter. And again, I'm not saying any points that I've brought up with this specific product and this box of $250. None of the stuff I've said is right or wrong. I'm just giving different perspectives and trying to figure out the thought process, pros and cons, of why someone would want to buy this box. 2020 Topps Finest WWE Rob Gronkowski Rookie Card 101 Superfractor, $1,500. Now this is a crossover card if I've ever seen one, and I honestly feel like this card appeals to more people outside of wrestling than it does the wrestling community, which is interesting because I don't know the last time I saw a card that was in a specific set actually appeal more to the people that were not necessarily fans of the actual product that the card came in. That's kind of a lot, but I hope you kind of understood what I said there. So let's look at the appeal here. Why would someone pay this amount for this? First off, it's Rob Gronkowski. He's one of those guys that, again, has transcended into pop culture. We've seen him on the football field, wrestling. We've seen him in commercials. He's got NFTs. He's just a popular dude that people seem to like. This is WWE's first set of Topps Finest. So you've got a Rob Gronkowski rookie card, and it also is in the very first set of Topps Finest, which Topps Finest and Topps Chrome, they have a lot of appeal to the people in the sports card world because those are just some of the first ever real shiny cards in the 90s that were produced. So it has some weight when it carries over into other aspects of trading cards. And of course, it's the one-of-one Superfractor. These are always sought after. All of these add up to it being an awesome card. Is it worth $1,500? I'm not sure. The fact that Gronk really wasn't even in the WWE very long. He won the 24/7 title as part of WrestleMania, but he wasn't a mainstay. He wasn't actually having a ton of matches. And the fact that it was sought after for someone not even that active in the ring just goes to prove my point of how stars that transcend the genre, the sport, the whatever that they're a part of, and go into the mainstream that people know will draw attention to the cardboard. This also drives home the point of limited, rare, scarce cards are always going to have value, and they don't even need to have the biggest market. Here's a Superfractor 1-of-1. Literally all it takes is 1 to 2 people to really want this card and be diehard Gronk collectors or Patriots fans or Bucks fans or whatever to be into this card and want to pay this amount. You don't have to have thousands of people going after this card. But if you do, then that's going to put this card long-term even way above $1,500. So in that aspect, this could have been a steal. And you know, the fact that you don't have to have that big of a market to chase a card, I was in the mindset that really we need wrestling cards to be massive, which I still think they should be. But for them to be worth a lot of money, you know, we've got to have a lot of people chasing them. And some of that's true, but, you know, after my interview with Rob England, which if you haven't, make sure to go check that out there, he said, you know, the wrestling card market doesn't need a huge market, it just needs a market. And everything I've said about this card is exactly what he's talking about. 1991, Chromie, stunning Steve Austin, rookie card, PSA 9, $3,400. To the moon with this card, to the moon with Steve Austin. I'm a huge fan of this card, huge fan of stunning Steve Austin, not just Stone Cold Steve Austin. I consider this his first rookie card. Many people don't because it's a gaming card. And that's fine. I care about my opinion, not so much about what other people think, especially in the wrestling card, rookie card space. You know what? I'm just not even going to say anything else about it. Go watch the video right there about wrestling rookie cards. Hopefully that'll help you figure it out. You can make your own decisions, not what the mainstream says. Don't go rookie card chasing. Buy what you think. Buy what you love. Buy what you've done your research on. I'm really happy to see that this card, as well as the Steve Austin cards, are all going up in value. Some of that could have been because of the recent A&E documentary that they did on him, which was fantastic. In fact, I can tell you that it increased his popularity. Maybe not so much for this card because it was already popular, but I was watching some several lower tier Steve Austin cards on different selling platforms, and the day of that documentary, those were gone. People were just buying them up. So the powers of documentaries definitely have effect on cardboard. I honestly feel like this card and many other cards of Steve Austin's, many other key, iconic, rare, scarce cards in wrestling world have huge potential, huge rooms to grow. I have a few of these cards in raw form, and when I send them into graded, they're not going to get anywhere near a PSA 9. I can guarantee that. But the thing is, if somebody offered me this $3,400 for my raw Steve Austins, I'd turn them down. I think these cards are way too important and way too awesome. They have a little bit of that 91 WCW Impel aspect to it. It's in a different language. I just think it's a really awesome card, and the very first Steve Austin cards, you couldn't pry these away from me with that price. So somebody got a heck of a deal, and that's how much I believe in this card and Steve Austin cards going forward. 1982, Cosmos, Hulk Hogan, PSA 6. There were 6 bids. Highest bidder paid $8,655.55. What? This Hulk Hogan card isn't the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars. It sure doesn't look like the 85 Topps rookie card to me either. It must be trash. Well, my friends, this is exactly why I tell you not to go rookie card chasing. A card considered by many not to be a Hogan rookie card, kind of an oddball card. You know, I always talk about oddball, rare, scarce, numbered, limited, food product cards, all that stuff. This is one of those cards. Not to mention a PSA 6. PSA 6, not a 10, not a 9, a 6. You just don't see these cards popping up very often. And once again, I said it over and over, I'm going to keep saying it, going to keep preaching it, going to keep yelling it to the moon, yelling it off the mountaintops. Rare, scarce cards, regardless of condition, are always going to carry value, just going to have a slow trending up. I don't see them ever going down, especially of your top major wrestling stars and legends. Many times when I'm doing these videos, I'm just trying to give you different aspects, different ways to look at wrestling cards, wrestling, collectibles, financial aspects, and letting this be a thinking exercise to help you build your collection or pay some bills. But I think this rare, key, scarce, iconic, doesn't have to be a rookie card, doesn't matter the grade as long as it's graded. I think this is kind of an agenda that I'm not going to get off my soapbox about. I'm just such a firm believer in my stance on this, and I feel like I'm yelling at the wall because I still see so many people not, and this is like, not necessarily in just wrestling cards. It could be, you know, vintage sports cards, basketball, baseball, football, whatever. It just seems like everybody is chasing the tippy top, and we know, we want that, of course. But sometimes it's easier from a financial standpoint, it's easier from a scarcity standpoint to go into those lower graded cards. Or, you know, a lot of times like this card we're talking about now, a lot of people maybe see, oh, well, you know, is this fake? Because they just don't know as much about wrestling cards. This isn't the 82 All-Stars, this isn't the 85 All-Stars. It must be kind of, you know, fake or something, which then we see this card go for higher than some lower graded 82 All-Stars and higher than some of the 85 Topps. Like I said, I'm not getting off my soapbox about this kind of agenda. I'm pushing it because I believe in it. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. If you don't want to listen to me, that's okay, no problem. I do appreciate you checking out this video though, and if you like this video and you like wrestling cards, wrestling content, collectibles, make sure you stick around, click on the video on the screen for more great wrestling card content. I'll see you there.